Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the show. Sam Yarnell will be here a little later on. Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. What do you think they're going to be talking about? We'll get to that. Patrick Mahomes is getting paid to the tune of $500 million through 2033. What is that about? Talk about it with our man, Sam Yarnell, and get his thoughts on that. There is news from baseball, a couple of notable injuries, and a frightening scene in Kansas City last night between the Royals and the Rangers. We'll show you the video, as difficult as it might be to watch for ourselves. Serena Williams' run at the Queens in doubles is short-circuited, but not because of her. We'll explain coming up a little later on. The World Cup getting underway as well. But we start things out as we always do on this Thursday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. The big story presented by the Daily Wrap. Sports Wrap with Jason Page's daily Substack. The show in a newsletter available for you for free. We do it for you. For the people. Monday through Friday, go and subscribe today and have it sent directly to your email box. You'll be much smarter for it. You could have conversations with your friends and say, I read about it in the Substack newsletter, the Daily Wrap, Sports Wrap with Jason Page's daily newsletter. All right. What you're all here for. The wildness that ensued at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night. And look, I'm not going to take the victory lap of saying I said the Knicks would win Game 4 because nobody in their right mind could have seen them winning in the fashion in which they did. That being said, when they were down 29, I didn't turn off the game for a single second, and here's why. In the NBA, everybody makes a run. Now, I thought the Knicks would make a run and at least make it somewhat competitive. But rarely do teams have the gas in the tank to finish that run when you're trying to erase such a monumental deficit. And this really was a historic deficit at the half of 29 points. Or 29 points at its worst. I shouldn't say 29 at the half, but 29 at its worst. I think it was 71-42. So from that perspective, I thought the Knicks would compete. I thought they'd get it close. Or closer. I didn't think in my right mind they would win. By the way, they were 18-1 underdogs at the half to win the game. So if you'd put $100 on the Knicks at halftime to win that basketball game, you would have walked away with a cool $1,800. But nobody in their right mind is going to do that. If you did, show us your ticket, because I'm going to call you a liar until I see what the ticket looks like. So the Knicks wind up winning. Anunoby was fantastic. He was great in Game 3. He just didn't get off enough shots for my liking. I said Jalen Brunson had to be Jalen Brunson for 4 quarters. He was Jalen Brunson for 4 quarters. Karl Anthony Towns making plays when it mattered. And again, up until the 4th quarter, he really wasn't getting off a lot of shots. He had to force a couple. Was able to get one over Wemby in the key moments of this game. Hit a big 3, fell into the Spurs bench. But one of the key things that will go unnoticed by many was the decision by Mike Brown to go to Jose Alvarado, the New Yorker, born and bred, brought into this team in a kind of, deal that you see at the deadline where you're going, oh, did you see the Knicks got Alvarado? Yeah, okay. And he had a couple of good games during the season, shot the lights out one night in Philadelphia in a Knicks blowout. And has had his moments throughout this season, but he's not the guy that you would have thought of as being the potential hero or one of the heroes in a heroic effort by the Knicks. And we often use that word heroic. And I know people get bent out of shape. Athletes aren't heroes. In the context of this game, these were heroes. And Alvarado was fantastic, but credit to Mike Brown for making that decision to go small in the backcourt with Alvarado and Brunson, and it paying dividends. Everything that had to go right for the Knicks in that second half to pull off this kind of comeback went right. And that includes the San Antonio Spurs not realizing that there are 48 minutes to a basketball game and not 24. Getting 3-point happy, even when the Knicks were starting to rally and close the gap. If you're San Antonio, stop taking threes, but just slow it down a little bit. Use some shot clock. Instead, they're taking threes with 10 on the shot clock. And that also goes for Wemby, who has to take a hit in this game. And after the game, he looked positively shell-shocked. For as well-spoken and eloquent as he could be and thought out after the game, he seemed like he was at a loss for words, trying to figure out how this unthinkable thing had taken place. So the Knicks win Game 4. They're a win away from their first championship in 53 years. I do think they still win it in 6. I think this series goes back to San Antonio, and the Spurs do get up off the mat and win Game 5 of this series. I have said all along I thought Knicks in 6. I think it's laid out perfectly for that. If you think San Antonio is going to go in to their home arena on Saturday night in front of that fan base and just roll over, that's not this Spurs team. I think they manage a way to get a win. Play a 48-minute game. And then the series, in some way, does sort of shift back to the Knicks in terms of the pressure. Because, yeah, you're up 3-2 coming back home to the Garden, assuming that's the case early next week for Game 6. But if you lose Game 6 on your home floor, this is why I think there's an urgency for the Knicks to try and win it in 5 in San Antonio, even though James Dolan and Zoran Mamdani and the Knicks faithful, Ben Stiller and all those guys would love to celebrate it in style at the Garden. There's an urgency to get this thing wrapped up in 5. Because if you give the Spurs a little bit of confidence, you saw what they could do for a half at the Garden on Wednesday night. Amazing basketball game. OG Anunoby. Stephon Matteau-like status in New York. If you don't know about Stephon Matteau, go look it up. 1994 Rangers championship run. We're coming back. Kurt Helin's next. Welcome back to the show. I've had my say as much as I can get out in the big story. Let's hear from the folks that make this show go round. Sam Yarnell later. Kurt Helin now. The pro behind Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, Kurt Helin, hangs out with us on the show. What the hell did we watch last night? We've had an overnight to sort of marinate in this, and obviously I've given my thoughts on it. What is sort of the top line, top of mind thing as you woke up this morning and sort of sit back and go, wow, that really did just happen?
It kind of was that. I'm like, did we really just witness that? Because I kept thinking there was a moment in the fourth where the Knicks had got it down to 15 and the Spurs made a mini little run, got it back up to 20. And you're like, here we go. They've not that they were going to blow it out, but they were going to do the thing that, frankly, we had seen them do all playoffs that they'd done against Oklahoma City, which was act way more mature than their years, settle down, find a way to just, win this. The Knicks were hot. The building was getting warm, warming up. No, it was 32-11 from that point on, and the Knicks pull out the win. I really have it's just hard historically to put this into context. I think, I texted you last night, led the NBC kind of wrap-up story with all the iconic moments, the Kirk Gibson homer, miracle on ice, Jordan last shot against the Jazz, and it's soccer today, so hand of God from Maradona, helmet catch, whatever you want to throw in. This is in that mode. We witnessed true sports history, a legacy moment that also I think what's getting overlooked a little bit is the Knicks started that with their defense. After playing 6 quarters of terrible defense, they finally started to really clamp down. And that kind of started with OG Anunoby, who wasn't just a hero for the tip-in. He made De'Aaron Fox's life difficult, not just on the epic block, but like that kind of threw them off. And Fox is the guy who's supposed to settle them, and he didn't.
I'm asking this question of everybody. I posted on X last night. Is it the greatest comeback in NBA history or the greatest choke job in NBA history?
Yeah, I saw you post that. I'm going to say if you make me pick one in
yes,
a binary
I am making
poll,
you pick one.
I'm going to go with greatest comeback because you still have to make the shots. You still have to make the plays. You still have to not roll over, right? You have to still go, all right, we got this. We can do this. We can chip away at this. We can make it happen. In reality, is it 60-40? Probably. Like the Spurs did give this one back. And now we'll look at this, and they can be looking at this series saying, if we don't throw the ball off Wemby, if Wemby doesn't throw that pass off the back and we hold on to this, we're up 3-1.
3-1. They could easily be up 3-1 in this series, Kurt.
Yeah, and now they're not. So there is a choke element, but I think you've got to give credit to the team that didn't lose it, that didn't quit, that didn't give up. I mean, we've been calling them resilient all playoffs, and it's a little tough to call a team that won 13 games in a row at one point, resilient.
Yeah.
But that was resilience in defined.
Couple of things from me. One, Mitch Johnson, in the midst of all that bloodletting that's going on, as this lead is with, call a timeout somewhere. I mean, stop the flow of blood here somewhere, Mitch Johnson. Because as much as we talk about the inexperience of the Spurs as a group and as a collective unit of players, so too is Mitch Johnson, who's literally, a season and a half into this thing, couple of seasons into this job. That's one. Two, Mike Brown, the decision to go to Alvarado. And for all the things we're going to talk about in this game, his decision to go small in the backcourt with Alvarado and Brunson paid huge dividends.
And Alvarado stepped up, and to his the New York guy, right, the Queens kid, making 8 points in the fourth quarter, hitting big shots, and being what he normally you think of him as. He was a defensive pest in there too, and you needed you were going to need some of that energy, but Mike Brown nailed it. And look, I was with you. I was one of the people at home. The 2 times I yelled at my TV in turn, other than like, oh my God, was yelling at Mitch Johnson, like, why are you not taking a timeout? And then the De'Aaron Fox play. But it was inexperience there. And frankly, Quinn Snyder and Mitch Johnson need to go have a drink together this summer and discuss it because they both made the same mistake against the Knicks.
As you sit back, though, on the De'Aaron Fox play, and you hear his explanation, hey, I'm trying to get a basket. He thinks he's got a shot there. Is there anything about it that, in retrospect, now having sat in it overnight, that some of what he's saying makes sense, or is it just that bad a basketball play?
It's still a bad basketball play if he makes it. And by the way, I kind of get what you're at. You're like, hey man, I can put 2 points on the board here.
It's the guy going in for the touchdown and allowing for the other team to have an onside kick late in the game rather than taking a knee at the one.
Right, exactly. The problem I into, the game management issue there, the losing your head, is simply that if he makes that basket, that block came with 11.1 seconds left, according to the official league play-by-play. Yeah. If you make that, then the Knicks get 11.1 seconds, and let's give him, he makes both free, he makes the bucket or he gets fouled and makes both free throws. However you're going to do it. It's a 3-point game with 11.1 seconds left, and the Knicks have a chance to tie. You pull that out and dribble it around and make them foul you, and there's at best 8, probably more like 6 or 7 seconds left, and you get the 2 free throws anyway, and you make it so much harder on the Knicks to pull off what they did. So, as opposed to a game-winning tip, where, by the way, the other thing, Wemby has to go out and cover Brunson, right? Brunson misses the shot, but Wemby is the contest. He's the reason he misses probably, but he's the contest. But now all series long, if they pulled him out, they were able to crash the glass. They have been able to make plays inside if you get Wemby out on the perimeter, and they did there. Nobody put a body on Anunoby, who comes running in from the three-point line, and I don't want to take anything away from his effort, but nobody put a body on him.
No, and Wemby, looked ghastly in this game, Kurt.
Oh, completely. And they couldn't go to Cornet. Like, Cornet has just become unplayable, and it's one of those things in the NBA Finals where we're talking about Alvarado coming off the bench and making plays. Mitchell Robinson gave everything he had in this game. He was completely gassed, but he played as hard. The Knicks stepped up in those moments. Luke Cornet's unplayable at this point, and Keldon Johnson, sixth man of the year, is virtually unplayable.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. We'll continue the conversation over on YouTube on this game in an extended chat there. Always appreciate you, my man.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the show. You've heard what I had to say in the big story. You've heard what Kurt Helin had to say from NBC Sports. You've gone and saved the best for last, haven't you? I figured I'd put you last in this because I know you're going to have some sort of point of view that diminishes this experience for Knicks fans, that I'm still trying to get my voice back. Like, I'm struggling right now. It's taking every ounce of everything in me to get my voice back. That's how loud I was screaming here watching the game. So I will start with the same question with you that I asked Kurt.
Wow.
That I posed on what? My voice? Yeah, it's a struggle.
You tried to get strong there for a second, and there was not a lot of strength behind that one.
There's not a lot of strong left in me. The same question I posed to people on X, and that is this: the greatest choke job of all time or the greatest comeback of all time, Sam Yarnell?
Oh, man. That's a good question. It is, Jason Page. It's a good question, and I don't know how to answer it because I think it's a mixture of both. And I'll
that's such a cop out.
I'll expand on that. I don't think one happens without the other and vice versa, obviously, right? I don't think that the Knicks are able to mount the horse that they mounted last night if the Spurs don't absolutely choke throughout the second half. I will say, before I say anything else about this game, I do need to disclose something, Jason Page, that not even you know, and I have kept under wraps from you. In that game last night, I put a responsibly irresponsible wager on the New York Knicks. I thought it was a New York Knicks spot, man. They lost game 3 at the Garden. There's no way they're coming back in game 4 and losing. I am going to get in on the Knicks because this is where they're not going to see it coming. Everyone's going to be on the Spurs. I'm going to get in on the Knicks. Obviously, that game didn't start out very well. At halftime, they're down 25, 29, whatever it is. So I made a deal with myself.
They were plus 1,800, by the way, on the money line at halftime in the live bet.
I made a deal with myself at halftime. Okay, you'll watch the third quarter. If they don't cut it to within 10 by the end of the third quarter, game's over. You're going to bed. Third quarter ends, 15-point game. They're on the way, but Sam, you made a deal with yourself. You got to go to bed. Maybe they'll pull it out. Fall asleep before the game ends. Wake up. There are all the notifications. So this morning, Jason Page, before you and I did this wonderful, glorious show, I went back and I obviously watched the last quarter of that game. My main takeaway, I took notes. My main takeaway, Jason, send De'Aaron Fox to freaking Mars. Send that guy to Mars. Not for a multitude of reasons, right? I could reference the freaking highlight or low light, I guess we should call it, tape that people have put together on the internet. The guy was making a comedy of errors throughout the entirety of the second half. But Jason, We're not having this conversation if De'Aaron Fox screws his head on correctly for 16 seconds when he has the ball in the offensive end of the court with nobody around him and blows a layup. All you have to do is dribble to the corner. All the Knicks could have done was foul you. All you had to do was hold it, De'Aaron Fox, but you wanted to be the hero. You wanted to make up for the multitude of errors that you had made throughout the second half, and you tried to make that layup, and it only got worse for you. Send that guy to Mars. I hope he doesn't make it out of training camp with the Spurs next year. That was one of the most egregious performances you'll see in a single NBA Finals half, maybe ever in the NBA.
8 3-pointers in a row they attempted when the Knicks had started to cut into the lead in the, I believe, the third quarter. And I do agree with you. There is a confluence of events, my elephant word for the day. There is a confluence of events that had to take place in order for this comeback to proceed the way that it was. I'm not going to lie to you. I knew the Knicks would make a run somewhere. In these blowout games, there's always a team that'll make a run. It's can you complete that run? Can you chase them all the way down? Usually teams run out of gas. Other than the few seconds that he sat late in the fourth quarter, I don't think Jalen Brunson sat in the fourth quarter, which normally he would sit for a few minutes in the fourth. He didn't sit at all in the fourth. So that was part of it. Mitch Johnson not using any timeouts during the run in the fourth quarter when it's starting to fall apart. I put up the meme last night on X, with Bill Murray and Caddyshack sitting there saying, the heavy stuff's not coming for a while, because that's the mentality that Mitch Johnson had as the wheels were falling off on this thing, and he's not using his timeouts. He's got a couple left. You got to stem the flow of blood here, and he just didn't do it. And as much as we sit here and talk about, and I have mocked throughout this postseason the people that talk about experience and said, enough with the experience. They've played 100 games this year. That was an instance where it just looked like a team that did not know how to finish what they had started. And even De'Aaron Fox, while he has experience, he's never played in an NBA Finals at Madison Square Garden when that place is a madhouse the way it was. I don't know if anything can prepare you for that, but it was unbelievable, Sam. And that is literally the only word I can come up with. It is literally unbelievable, inconceivable for that comeback to take place the way that it did. Real quick.
You're exactly right. Now to the things that you were waiting for me to say on this show. Yeah, but you're right. They don't teach that in Sacramento for a reason. It's the reason they haven't gone very far in a long time. My notes from last night. We need to put the Wu-Tang Clan on Illuminati watch. Did anyone see their halftime performance? They said Knicks in 5. They said, let's bring the energy back. And then they came out and did that in the second half. Yeah, we need to put the Wu-Tang Clan on Illuminati watch. We got to address this because I'm going to be the only one on this entire show who addresses it all. We got to do something about Knick fans. We got to do something about Knick fans. You had Wembanyama getting egged after the game, walking back into the hotel. You had someone throwing a brick at him on the way in. We have to do something about Knick fans. They're everything we pretend Philly fans are. They just don't get the spotlight as much as Philly fans because their teams aren't as good. We have to do something about Knick fans. It cannot go on much longer like this.
I refuse to paint the broad brush of everybody.
There's no other city where that happens. There's no other
Los
city
Angeles.
where that happens.
Stuff like that.
No one's getting egged in Los Angeles. You can't get close enough. Los Angeles is too spread out. They don't let you close enough to anybody.
We're coming back. Welcome back to the show. Notes from around Major League Baseball. Somebody's going to get killed. A pitcher's going to get killed with a line drive to the head one of these days. I don't take any joy in saying that. The video you have to see to believe from the Royals-Rangers game last night. A couple of notables going to the IL. One a surprise. Well, maybe both of them are not as big of a surprise. We'll get to that coming up. There was big news from the NFL yesterday before the Knicks and Spurs game 4 at Madison Square Garden, Sam Yarnell, and it came in the form of a big payday. I say this all the time in sports. We pay guys retroactively. Guys get paid retroactively all the time in sports. And I don't know how you get away from it. Star players. We saw Albert Pujols get his big payday with the Angels. You knew half of that contract was going to be hot garbage, and not necessarily work out well. Patrick Mahomes is going to get $500 million, Sam Yarnell, from the Kansas City Chiefs when all is said and done. I mean, you want to talk about a contract that could be an albatross around the neck of an organization for years to come. I'm just going to let you talk because I feel like my voice is going to go out any second here. Your thoughts on Mahomes getting his deal and getting paid in a big way when we're wondering if he's even going to be able to play in week 1 for this team.
What led to this? What on earth? Why does Patrick Mahomes going into 2026 need a contract extension? That was my immediate reaction. That's what I still haven't quite figured out. You were looking at what his contract was like before. I believe he was tied there through 2028 or 2029. Now he's tied there through 2033. Why? This does not make a whole lot of sense. Like, it makes sense to pay one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Don't get me wrong. Why now? And I'm sure that I'll have to talk to some more people. There may be some like back end business that has to do with this in terms of the NFL, but if that's not why, Jason, it leaves a very limited list of reasons, one of which is that Patrick Mahomes was growing frustrated with the organization and they needed to do something to keep things happy. So my antennas are going up around this whole situation. I don't really know what to make of any of this. Sure, it's great for Mahomes. It's good business for the NFL. You finally have a contract that's worth $500 million. Why now? Right now makes absolutely no sense to me when you've got, the entire city of Kansas City reeling monetarily from what FIFA is doing to them collectively. You're going to have people, not very happy with the Chiefs other than the fact that they're locking down Mahomes into his age 39 season?
2033, Sam.
Yeah, right. He's going to be old. He's going to be 39 years old by the time this contract ends, Jason. The why is just what I haven't figured out yet. It's great for Mahomes. I'm happy for you, Chiefs fan. You're never going to have to see another quarterback for this team for another however long, 7 years. But why now? It just doesn't make, the timing of it all doesn't make sense. What was going on that caused this?
The first 4 years. So the new money on the deal is worth $239.05 million. Total value now at $504.75 million from 2026 through 2033. First 4 years guaranteed at signing. All $504 million becomes guaranteed through different, mechanisms in the contract. That's the report on this, by the way. And he can make up to $522.25 million through incentives and escalators.
I'm looking at the back end information of this contract, and it's becoming a little bit apparent what the Chiefs are laying out for themselves. They have loaded this contract up on the front end. I mean, loaded this contract up on the front end. By 2030, they're paying Patrick Mahomes $11 million against the cap. This contract is absolutely loaded up for this year. That is why they did it this year. Okay, new plan. Look for the Chiefs to not be very good this year, people. Look for the Chiefs to not go out and sign anybody else and not make any trades for anybody else, because this contract is putting them deep in the hole for this year, in a slightly shallower hole for next year, and then starting in 2028, they're going to be in great shape as long as Patrick Mahomes can stay healthy. They're going to be in incredible shape, paying a quarterback in like the mid-tier for having Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I just wonder, as this team and this franchise starts to morph away from the dynastic team that it was to what it's going to become, how Patrick Mahomes will fit into that, because you're going to be paying him to the degree that you're expecting him to perform at a certain level, and we don't know what he's going to come out of this. This surgery and this offseason and this injury that he suffered in the playoffs, you don't know what he's going to come out of that being, Sam. So to me, there, even if it is front-loaded, it is still a gamble by this organization to believe that even if you want to argue, can he be viable through 2030? Forget 2033 when this thing looks really weird. By 2030, I wonder what kind of Patrick Mahomes you're getting on the back end or even the middle end of this deal quickly.
Me too, but I think that if they're giving out this kind of money, they've done their research with Mahomes post-surgery to know that they might know themselves well enough to know that he's going to need a little time into this season. I really would be unsurprised if they punt on this season. They are going to be set up so well going forward.
A wild night in baseball between the Rangers and Royals. We'll get to it next. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. The World Cup is here. I'm not going to lie, I had a network. I don't want to say who. I don't want to name names here. Reach out to me yesterday and say, hey, can we talk to you about the World Cup? We want to have you on during the World Cup. And they're like, are you comfortable with that? How am I supposed to respond to that? Like, you know me, Sam. I mean, I'll watch the matches involving the United States.
Ugh.
I mean, if I'm going to watch anything,
your time?
If I'm going to watch
the good
anything, but if
matches.
I'm going to watch anything, that's what I'm going to watch. Like, what am I supposed to say to that? I don't watch a ton of soccer. I call it soccer. I don't. So I told the network, I'm like, look, I'll know what I'm watching, and I can give you the macro. If you want the granular stuff on, player A or player B, you're probably going to want to go somewhere else. I don't know. I've been getting a lot of TV requests lately. This is not me. This is not a humble brag. I've been getting a lot of TV requests lately. Maybe that's partly why I'm losing my voice too. I may have to start saying no, which I never do. Let's talk baseball. I'm trying. I'm working through it today. After the Knicks win over the Spurs, in which I probably woke up every neighbor in our building. Injury news in Major League Baseball. Ronald Acuna, Sam Yarnell. He's hurt again. Shock of shocks. Hamstring injury. Again. So the Braves are looking at extended time without him. And look, whereas we kind of joked around early on in the year when their lead in the NL East seemed insurmountable, they're up 8 now on the Phillies, who have rebounded since hiring Don Mattingly as their manager. We're only 68 games into the season. There's still no whole another 100 games to go. It has to be somewhat disconcerting for this organization to have Ronald Acuna Jr. unable to be on the field again.
I don't know. They've gotten so much production from so many places. Like, I don't want to say they have the same comfort that the Dodgers had when Mookie Betts went down, but like, it's damn close. It is damn close to what the Dodgers had when Mookie Betts went down. We already saw this, right? We already saw this year, and what the Braves go. I think they were like 8-2 without Acuna in the 10 games that they didn't have him or something. This is what you can do when you're a baseball team that is as good as the Braves, when you are one of the 2 or maybe 3 best teams in baseball right now, but it's probably really 2. Yeah, They have Michael Harris, right, who's gone through streaks this year, but at times has been tearing the freaking cover off the ball, right? They have one of the best young players in this league, and Drake Baldwin behind the dish, who is an absolute stud. So I am not worried about this Atlanta team at all. And Jason, like you said, 8-game lead. They got a 3-game series coming up against the Mets. They'll host the Giants, and then so the schedule isn't great for them, right? You play the Mets. That's a great way to extend that kind of division lead, but I'm not worried about the Braves. I don't think that when you got guys fronting that lineup like Matt Olson, who's been one of the best freaking hitters in baseball this year, Ozzie Albies has absolutely turned it around this year after a lot of people were ready to give up on him over the course of the last 2 years. I'm not going to worry about the Braves right now.
O'Neal Cruz to the 10-day IL, broken left hand, injured while sliding into home plate during the 4th inning of a loss on Saturday to the Bravos. He was available as a pinch runner, and they're saying it's a non-displaced fracture between his ring finger and his pinky. The move is retroactive to Monday. 264, 14 home runs, 44 RBIs, 98 strikeouts, by the way, also leads the majors for O'Neal Cruz for a Pirates team that is scuffling in that NL Central, Sam.
Yeah, the thing is, he was the heart. You said the numbers. He was the heartbeat of the offense. That's the thing. Now the Pirates have to freaking figure out what to do without an offensive heartbeat, and that's an offense that has not been very productive this year. It sucks, man. It really sucks. I thought this was going to be the year for the Pirates, and that's not to say to write them off already on June 11th when they're only 7 games out of the Central, and the NL Central's been topsy-turvy this year. But Jason, I don't know. It just feels like it's not the Pirates' year once again.
Turn your head away from the TV if you get squeamish by, sort of uncomfortable things to watch in sports. Here is one of them. A line drive off the bat of Brandon Nimmo last night against Royals starting pitcher Seth Lugo. 106.6 mile per hour line drive off the noggin of Seth Lugo. Amazingly, he walked off under his own power. Brandon Nimmo looked horrified. Everybody on the field looked horrified. Somebody's going to get killed with a line drive one of these days, Sam.
What a gamer Seth Lugo is, man. That was fun. That was fun to watch, and I get it. It was a lot more fun because he was okay and because he walked off under his own power. But that was freaking awesome, Seth Lugo. That was one of the all-time moments I think that we'll see in baseball this week, right? Like, you had... Everyone thought the way that he fell, the momentum of the ball knocked him clean over. He's head over heels practically. The trainer was almost across the first base line before the ball was to first base. And by the time he gets to the mound, Seth Lugo's standing up I'm good. What's going on? Brandon Nimmo's running over, hugging the guy. He's like, dude, it's fine. It's fine. It was awesome, man. Seth Lugo, you're a gamer. That was so fun to watch.
I could see our friend David Ardsma right now with the t-shirt that he's worn on the show before that says rub a little dirt on it. I mean, that was essentially what it felt like, a rub a little dirt moment. Odds and ends right around the corner. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, and that means Tino Patino will be here. NASCAR headed to the Poconos. Get his thoughts on Denny Hamlin's latest win and what it means for the rest of the season and preview that race. Always a good time at the Poconos. And who knows, maybe some other surprises along the way. Again, no NBA Finals until Saturday, the extra day off. Game 5 of the NBA Finals in San Antonio with the Knicks leading that series 3-1. We'll have a complete recap of whatever happens on Saturday come Monday's show. All right, a couple of reminders before we go. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast is the place for the audio version of the show, Monday through Friday, available there, limited commercial interruptions. Go and subscribe today if you haven't already done so. Loving the numbers that we're seeing over there on the podcast, so go and subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast wherever you get your podcasts. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place for all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show without commercials, 45 minutes commercial-free, waiting for you every afternoon on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to that today. We have Sports Wrap Shorts there. We have extended conversations like the one we had with Kurt Helin today. You didn't see half of the conversation he and I had on that Knicks game, that memorable Game 4 win at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night. But if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see it there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel today. The newest thing we have added, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website is now up. SportsWrap.tv is the place to go for that. SportsWrap.tv for the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website. That has got the current day's show, at least it should, the podcast, the Substack newsletter, the Daily Wrap. You could subscribe to that. Or if you're looking for your affiliate, you want to find out where you can watch us on television, on over 270 affiliates across the U.S. and Canada, all you have to do is go to sportswrap.tv. There's a section where you can find your affiliate, put your location. It'll tell you where you can watch the show on television. So we appreciate you doing that as well. And now, without any further delay on this Thursday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Tarek Skubal. There he is on your screen. Tarek Skubal getting ready to come back. He will pitch on Saturday night for the Detroit Tigers, and not a moment too soon for them as they have really hit the skids, not just without him, but because of a whole litany of injuries that have struck that team throughout this season. They've really, it's been hard for them to sort of keep their heads above water. They are in second to last. Actually, they're tied for last with Kansas City right now in the Central at 28-40. The good news is it's the Central, and they're only 60 some odd games into the season. There's 100 games left. Get Skubal back, get some of these guys back healthy. You try to compete for a wild card spot. Otherwise, you're going to have to get to a point where you make a decision on whether or not to trade Skubal. And that is going to be the huge question at the trade deadline. Also playing a factor in all of that is the idea that teams may be less happy with the idea, or less likely because of a pending work stoppage at the end of the season, to go and make these sorts of deals. A lot to consider for the Tigers, obviously. Plenty of season left for them to turn this thing around, but it has not gone their way thus far this season. The good news for them is the Cleveland Guardians have run into the Yankees here over the last few days, who beat them 3 in a row. So that obviously has taken a little steam out of the Guardians, and now the White Sox are actually back in first in that AL Central right now at 36-31. They've won 6 of 10. Odds and ends, the end for Serena Williams. It was over before it started. She was playing doubles with Victoria Mboko of Canada at the Queen's Club event, which is has a women's side now, and she had never played it before. So she wanted to play that event in this comeback of hers. Well, Mboko had to pull out with an injury, which means the doubles run for Mboko and Serena Williams is over. Let not your heart be troubled. She's going to play doubles in Berlin next week, and that will be another opportunity for her to continue fine-tuning her game. A lot of people wondering whether or not she's going to play at Wimbledon. She says, just taking it one day at a time. The kids were done with school. I was bored. I needed something to do. I don't believe any of that crap. This is one of the most fierce competitors in the history of sports. She's obviously plotting her comeback. She's just being very coy about how she does it, but her run at the Queen's Club is over. Speaking of Wimbledon, congratulations to players there. They were calling for bigger shares of revenues, and Wimbledon announcing on Thursday that 20% increases in the total prize money are going to be taking place for the singles champion, who will earn $4.8 million at the Grass Court Grand Slam next month. That according to the Associated Press. So congratulations. The stance that the players took at Roland Garros this year, already paying some dividends. And that will do it for us on this Thursday edition of the show. Thank you to Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Thank you, Sam Yarnell, as always, for your contributions to the show. And thanks to all of you at home for watching. I'm Jason Page. That does it for Sports Wrap. We'll catch you back here on Friday for an all-new episode. Bye-bye.